My father was like, I spent 12 years before I got the opportunity to share screen space with Mr. Dilip Kumar in Shakti. And you're going to do it in your first film. Sadly, that film never got made. Sometimes you're thankful. Sometimes you're like, "Arey, nahi, yaar, we worked really hard on that." I shy away from the word experiment because it kind of sounds like, oh, we're trying something, it might not work. There's no way you can bracket an actor in just one word. I really liked Ricky Tukral from Jhumbar Joom. I thought he was very lovable. I thought Nandu Bhide was one of the most loving people I've come across. I loved him.
Hello and welcome to Hindustan Times. This is me, Vishakha Pandit, and today I have with me a very special guest, Mr. Abhishek Bachchan. Well, Abhishek, firstly, welcome on Hindustan Times.
Thank you.
I would say आपने already सबको बहुत intrigue कर दिया है अपने poster को release करके, and then everybody is wanting to know that what is this new आपका जो आने वाला नया project है, what is it about? Like a little brief into it.
Kaalidhar Laapata is, according to me, a wonderfully warm slice of life buddy road trip film between Kaalidhar, which is my character, and Ballu, which is the character you see sitting beside me on this branch. It's the story of Kaalidhar, who has lived his life and dedicated his life to taking care of his family, fulfilling his responsibilities to his younger brothers, and in that process has never really done anything for himself. And there comes a junction in his life due to certain circumstances where he is forced to live his life.
Okay.
And through his friendship, chance meeting and friendship with Ballu, Ballu makes him realize that you've dedicated your entire life to your two younger brothers and setting them up in life. You've sacrificed your dreams. Now is the time to live your dreams. And even though at an advanced stage in his life, he, with the guidance of Ballu, starts living his life for the first time and starts enjoying it and enjoys the small moments and holds them very dear. So it's a story about hope. It's a story about fulfilling your dreams. It's a story about it's never too late.
Indeed. But then I will ask 2 points here. One, when you were briefed about the script, or maybe when you heard that, okay, this is like a rough kind of background of the story, what was your first instant thought about the concept, about the whole story?
I thought the way Madhumita had written the script and the way she wanted to direct it and her vision was very nice. It can be looked upon as very profound.
Correct.
But I like the casual air with which she wanted to convey that very profound message. It's a story about morals and values. It's also a story about loving yourself and fulfilling your own dreams and thinking about yourself. Somewhere it's also, if you are considered in a family firmament the provider, if you're not going to take care of yourself, you're really of no use to anybody else. What I liked is that she was discussing some very important and nice topics. She was discussing it in an environment and in a strata of society which doesn't generally, sadly, have the liberty to think selfishly.
Correct.
And I like that. And even that, and the best part of it is it's all the moral compass and linchpin of this film is a 10-year-old kid.
Correct.
Where we don't associate with wisdom, but actually happens to be the most wise person in the film.
And now the second thing, while you were shooting for this film, now maybe when you wrapped up the shoot of this film, what was that one, maybe the moment or something that just left a very strong mark on you when you were done filming it?
There's actually this one scene in a railway station between Ballu and Kali, which sadly has been edited in the film.
Oh.
He treats Ballu as his equal, right?
Okay.
Ballu then says and does something that KD after a while realizes that, hey, let me not forget he's also just a child. And although he's wise beyond his years, he's also a kid. Let's not forget that. He still has his life ahead of him. Just because I judge him and I treat him as an equal, that doesn't mean that he has to be as cynical about life.
Correct.
And he's not being. And that left a
mark on you.
Yeah, I did, because it kind of puts into perspective that here's this kid who's wise beyond his years, but we always tend to forget when you have somebody who's that mature in their thought.
Yes.
Or emotionally that mature, that there also sometimes can just be a kid who just have a unique perspective in life.
Right.
So never take it for granted. Enjoy it. That's what I said, because I was the character at that point in time is at a stage in his life where, he doesn't know where life is taking him.
Correct.
Or, what's going to happen to him tomorrow or down the road. He's at a stage of life where he's already questioning that. And you're talking as an equal to somebody who actually has the entire life ahead of them. So their approach, their perspective is slightly different.
Indeed.
So learn to live life the way he is, which is enjoying every moment of it. Don't be so cynical about everything. In order to be of best service to your near and dear ones, the first person you need to make sure is absolutely all guns blazing, 100% there, is yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So if I would ask you, if you had to say that, okay, this is one thing that I've not done in so many years, like let's say maybe actors died a lot, maybe they just have like restrictive things. If you had to go back in time and do one thing that you used to love doing and you haven't done for a very long time, just to please yourself, what would that be one thing?
Oh, well, of late is to have any sugar or namkeen.
Oh, you have not had?
Not for a long time. No, it's been a couple of months now.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not very good with diets and all, but you're obviously always preparing for a film or whatever, so it depends on that. But yeah, there are a few.
Okay, on that note, anything in particular that you, maybe while the course of the film was being shot, you got to learn, or maybe you had to learn for the character? Because it सुनने में बहुत आसान लगता है that this is the character, this is the script, but then obviously there's a lot of manpower and a lot of thought is put behind the character and a lot of thought that's put behind the making of the character. So anything in particular that you had to learn for that character?
Nothing that we possibly hadn't done before.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe just acquainting myself with the condition that Kaalidhar has to try and incorporate that into the performance. That was the only thing.
I would say over the years, Abhishek, you have been very openly trying to experiment with a lot of different roles. Okay, it's not like, okay, one set role. No, you're trying to experiment with different roles. See the complete area of the roles that you've played over the years. Is it like a conscious choice of you wanting to experiment or maybe see or test your own potential? Or what is
I shy away from this word experiment.
Okay.
I think part of an actor's job is with every subsequent film, if they're lucky enough to be given that opportunity, is to do something different from what they've done previously. That also keeps the creativity alive. It keeps you sharp. I've always tried to do that.
Okay.
And it's not a new thing. I've done that throughout my entire career. My first ever film was a movie called Refugee.
We'll talk about that.
My second film was Tera Jadoo Chal Gaya, which is the complete opposite.
Yes.
So I've always done that. It's always excited me as an actor. It's excited me to do something different, try and do something that I haven't done in the previous film.
Correct.
So yeah, I shy away from the word experiment because it kind of sounds like, oh, we're trying something, it might not work. No. You're working in a commercial medium. Within the confines of that, you're still trying to do something that you're convinced about.
Correct.
So experiment somewhere has this shade that it might work, might not work. No, I'm very convinced about whatever I do. Whether they've worked or not, that's a different conversation. I'm very convinced about the characters that I do. I've always enjoyed pushing the envelope. I've always enjoyed trying to do things that previously I might not have had the liberty to do.
But now you do have.
But today you have that liberty to do that.
Correct. You
have the confidence to do it. You feel somewhere reassured in your ability, in your craft, that you can pull it off.
Okay, according to you, which has been the most, maybe the lovable character of yours according to you, and maybe one of the most toughest characters for you?
I really liked Ricky Tukral from Jhoom Barabar Jhoom. I thought he was very lovable. The three of them. I thought Nandu Bhide was one of the most loving people I've come across. I loved him.
Yes.
And Raj from Kuch Na Kaho. I really liked playing him. Kuch Na Kaho was Rohan's first film with me and Aishwarya. And these three I think are very, very loving, lovable characters. The most difficult, I would say, would be equally between Ravan and the character I did in Breathe.
And then if you had to rate yourself as an actor, maybe you had to say that, okay, define yourself as an actor. What would that one word be that you would use for yourself?
I don't think any actor who can do that should not be believed. There's no way you can bracket an actor in just one word. Correct.
Okay, now you just said Refuge. 25 years of Refugee. And I think that's where the journey somewhere down the lane began. How it was all for you. If I would just take you back in the memory, do you remember the first shot maybe that you did for that? And how was that? How was that experience?
It's terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying.
Really?
Yeah. For me, signing JP Saab's film, many people don't know actually the first film that he signed me for was a film called Aakhri Mughal.
Okay.
And after I was signed on to it, he signed the great Mr. Dilip Kumar. And I was just in shock. And so was my father, because my father was like, I spent 12 years before I got the opportunity to share screen space with Mr. Dilip Kumar in Shakti. And you're going to do it in your first film. I mean, you're talking about one of the greatest, if not the greatest.
Yes.
And sadly, that film never got made. Then JP Saab decided to make Refugee, but it was a different script.
Correct.
And then it became the script that we eventually made. And that waiting period till we actually started shooting was almost a year. So you're constantly living in that hope that, okay, I'm going to start. And then when we reached Bhuj, I remember for the first week, 10 days, I was just in limbo. I didn't know if I was shooting, if I was not. Every day I had to go on set. He used to get me ready and make me wait. And I should just be waiting. And then he'd say, at the end of the day, he'd say, pack up, and I'd come back to the hotel. And every day you're living with that fear that, it didn't happen. And I still remember after almost a week of doing this, I was again waiting on set, and Shadab, who was one of my co-stars, him and I were playing cricket on the side, because by then it was like, okay, kuch hone wala nahi hai. And suddenly I remember JP Saab's assistant, Suri, came running and said, shots ready. And by then we thought, chalo, abhi nahi hone wala hai. Light is going, sun is setting. So I removed all my makeup and everything. And he said, shot is ready. I said, no, but I removed my makeup. He's like, I don't care. JP Saab doesn't want to lose the light. So come. I remember sprinting onto set, putting on my costume again. And JP Saab saw me and he said, "Nahi, remove this, ye change karo, wo change karo." Changed my entire costume and look. And he made me give my first shot. It was just a passing shot. And before I could understand the weight of the moment, because I'd waited so long for this, and okay, action, now walk from here. And I walked and cut, okay. And I was like, wow, I just did my first shot. And I remember I looked at Bebo and I gave her a hug, and Kulbhushan Karbanda ji and all that. I took his blessings on it. I was looking for JP Saab saying, okay, my first shot, let me go, give him a big hug. He had walked off. He had already gone. He was setting up the next shot. And I was like, no, this is a bit of an anticlimax. No. Then I went to him. I said, sir, I just gave my first shot. And then, he took a photograph with me. And so it all happened so fast. So I'll never forget it.
But what was the most challenging scene, or with a challenging memory from that set?
From Refugee?
Yes.
The most challenging scene for me was, there was a scene in the hospital where he has a breakdown with Jagu Dada. That was a very tough scene for me. Yeah.
But then when you look back to your journey from Refugee till now, do you think what you had thought as an actor then, that, okay, this is what my goal is, maybe like how actors think, you think that you've achieved that, or you're still on your path of achieving?
No. Still on that path.
It's still a long way.
Yeah. The thing about being an actor and having goalposts is, as soon as you're approaching it, suddenly you decide to move it a bit further ahead. So that keeps changing, which is good. And I think that's a good thing, because that means you're improving somewhere.
Well, on that note, I would love to know, because you said that, when you shot for the first scene and you looked towards Bebo and you realized that OGP sir has already gone. What was it one scene that maybe wasn't kept in the film apparently, but then is a very special scene for you from Refugee?
Oh, there's several. There's several. Sure. There's several scenes that, in every film that don't end up making it to the final cut. And sometimes you're thankful. Sometimes you're like, "Arey nahi yaar, we worked really hard on that." But that happens in every film. That's part of, you understand at the end of the day, it's the vision of the director. And a lot of things get left on the cutting room floor, so to speak. So there are several of those.
But wrapping up, if you could meet Abhishek from that time, from Refugee, what would you tell him now?
Pull your socks up, man. It's going to be a long ride.
And what would you tell Abhishek of now? What to expect ahead?
Expect the unexpected. As long as you're on the journey, it's a good thing.
Indeed.
As long as you're prepared to keep traveling down that path, you're in good hands.
Well, thank you for your time, Abhishek.
No,
it was a
thank
pleasure
you.
talking to you. Well, that is Abhishek Bachchan for you, and this is me, Vishakha Pandit, signing off.